In this video, I'm going to be running you through a card sort process. So this is a process that is used for human-centered design. It helps you understand who your end user is, specifically what's important to them, and to create a solution that meets their needs. So a big shout out to IDEO. This is where we got our inspiration for this activity. We found this from their field guide to human-centered design. So big shout out to them. I'm going to be referencing their field guide in the comments below. So feel free to check that out if you want to find out more. Card sorting is writing down on cards the things that you think will be important to address for your project. So I'm going to talk about an example. Let's say that you're creating an initiative or a training program for a drug and alcohol policy in an organization. So what you would do is you would think, okay, what do I think would be important to end users? What do I think they would need to know in order to abide by the policy, be aware of it, and feel comfortable with it? So let's say one of the things is, okay, I really think that users will be worried about failing the test. I think that's something that they'll want to know about. So what happens when I fail? What does this mean? So this could be one thing that you write down on a card. Another thing could be, okay, I think people might also be thinking about how the testing process works. So what happens when they're asked to be tested? What do they actually need to do? So that's something else that you could write down that you think would need to be addressed. Something else would be, okay, I think people might be worried about alcohol levels. So how do I know if I'm over the limit? Is there a certain limit that I need to be under in order to be at work? And how do I know whether I'm going to meet that or not? So alcohol level could be something else. Another thing could be social life. So I'm really worried that when this policy comes out, I'm not going to be able to have a barbecue on Sunday night. And this is something I always do. What if I can't have a couple of beers? Is this going to impact my life outside of work? So for the purpose of this example, I'll just leave it there, but you may come up with other things. What you would then do is you would meet with your end users. So you could do this one-on-one, and what you would do is you would give them the cards and you would say, okay, these are the things that are relevant to this topic that we think is important to you. And you get them to rate it from most important to least important for them. So for each user, you would get them to rate them, and you might see there could be a pattern. So it could be, okay, people seem to really be worried about their social life. They're worried that they're not going to be able to do what they want to do on the weekend because they're not allowed to be under the influence when they're at work. So what if they have a beer on Sunday night and they come into work and it's still in their system? So you could find through your meetings with users that this is the top worry. So from that, you would go, okay, this is something we really need to focus on when we're designing. We need to tackle that issue, because if we do that, we can meet their needs, and it helps us understand what's important to them and speak to that through the solution. Something else you may notice is people aren't really worried about the testing process. So they don't really care how the testing process is going to work. It's more about, like, am I going to be over the limit, or how is it going to impact my social life? So you might, from that, think, okay, we probably don't really need to talk about the specifics of how the testing process works. So that's our explanation of card sort. It's something that our team is going to start using, and we think it's going to be really useful to understand what's important to our users and to really focus on the things that make a difference to them. So I hope it added value to you. If you want to find out more about human-centered design, we have a human-centered design playbook that you can purchase. So I'm going to link that below in the description.